Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with sPidA.
Man, here we go. Hello, everybody. sPidA here once again. Coming Soon podcast, San Antonio, Texas, being joined once again. Jody S. Dean, my man. Thank you for jumping back on here, bro.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, brother.
No, likewise, man. I know we've tried this a few times. I know scheduling conflicts, man. Obviously you're still finishing up MALLET 2, man, which is why I brought you back on here. But
yeah,
man, from the last time that we talked, you had actually finished MALLET, the first film, and
right.
I mean, you had talked about this one, man, and I can honestly say, man, I mean, I've been watching you, man, and I can see you're pouring a lot of personal work, where this is your movie. I mean, obviously,
Right.
man, you're doing everything.
Yeah. No, I'm a one man band, and I love it that way, bro. I've been doing it that way for a long time, not just with movies, but with any business and anything I've had. And but when it comes to these films, bro, I don't know any other way to do it. And I've tried to think, like, if I did work with those big crews, if I had money at my disposal, would I be as creative as I am? I like being the hustler. I like being the grinder on set, man. And I've learned how to multitask really well. Making films has actually made me like a better worker, just in all areas. So yeah, I love it, brother.
Man, and I was gonna say, I mean, it does make sense, bro, because not just with the podcast. I mean, I run this on my own, but I'm a self-contract delivery driver here locally, and everybody's like, "Oh, you should get a big truck. You should get a crew." And I'm like, man, I love doing what I can control.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I can understand where you're coming from, because for me, it's like, if I know I got something going, if I can do it, I'll go ahead and, get at it, man, basically, but the same thing with you. It's like, you're in charge of everything. You know what's going on, what's not going on. And, everything goes to you, man.
Kitchen, man, can just be a little, weird. When I first started making films, I did work with some guys, and we would bump heads a lot, and I just found that my ideas, I want to do them my way, and you put too many brains in one head, dude, and stuff can get sloppy. It's uncomfortable, and I don't like that. I have so much fun making these films, and it's really all I want to do for the rest of my life. I might be a full-time YouTuber. I got other businesses, but in all honesty, I think I'm ready just to probably next year. You're going to see me just mainly doing this.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to say, man, you could have fooled me. I thought you were only doing this, man. You've been so busy, bro.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing YouTube since 2018, and in late 2019, it kicked off, and in 2020, it blew up for me. It became very successful, and I'm sitting here as a guy that, my first year or two on the platform, I was only getting 120 views of video to, now I've got close to 40 million views on my channel, and over 250,000 followers on there. And I've been doing that full time. And that's what was able to help me kick off my movie career, because I could always write the films. I knew how to film and edit and compose music and do all the jobs it takes to get it done. But when it came down to the money part and having everything, that's where YouTube set me up. And, and I love YouTube. I don't plan on leaving, but I just plan on scaling back, for the last 3-4 years of my life, I've been dropping 15 videos a month, full length videos, an hour to 2 hours long. And I'm to a point now to where, I'm going to cut back. Probably in 2025, you're going to see me scale down to about 8 videos a month. And I technically am doing movies full time right now. But I think what's going to be different is, right now, I would say I could only average 1 picture a year. And I would say, once I scale back, be prepared to see maybe a couple movies a year from me. So,
and you see, and that's, I can see it, like I said, man. I mean, because I see you hustling, I see you grinding. I mean, the first time you jumped on here, you actually talked about you being a YouTuber.
right? Yeah.
2020 came, COVID, so everybody was home. I mean, it kind of made sense. You were out there doing videos and content, but man, I mean, obviously, you did develop that following. I mean, which is huge because, of course, a lot of the people, follow you on your social media outlets. So it kind of makes sense, because you have that support.
It's definitely it's awesome because before I ever had a following, like a YouTube following, I remember doing short films in my 20s, and I would drop these films and I'd be lucky if 20 people seen it. And I was always happy that 20 people seen it. It thrilled me to death. But as you know, and everybody knows it's in this business, man. The more eyes you can get on your film, the better chance you have of something being successful. So it's kind of a good thing that I went away from filmmaking in a way. Like, I still make films on YouTube, but I don't put the kind of effort into a vlog that I do a feature film. So I kind of went away from like the idea of doing movies to doing YouTube. That became successful. Then I came back to movies at the right time. And it's just like, I kind of went away, got the following, got the money, and now it's back to doing what I wanted to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about this whole thing is, brother, is back in my 20s, everybody was like, you got to have money to do this, man. You got to have at least 50 grand to make this film. You got to have 100,000. You got to have $1 million. You got to have investors. You got to have a studio. And I was always telling them that they're wrong. I'm like, dude, indie horror, bro, can be done with damn near nothing if you're creative enough and you know how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's still money involved, but I was just kind of the guy that was like, let's go do it. And last year, man, I had all the equipment, had all the knowledge, I was ready, and I just jumped in, and I was very blessed to see Mallet 1 do so well. I really didn't think that was going to happen, even though I have a following. Just because I had a following, I was like, they know me for paranormal stuff, scary adventures. Why are they going to buy my horror film?
Right.
And they come out the woodworks, and now there's like, it's a mini cult following, but that following, they love what Mallet is.
No, for sure, man. I know. I mean, like the first time, like I said, man, we had talked about it. You had talked about the sequel. Of course, family's involved, man. You have your son who's returning in the film.
Yes.
I mean, I think at one point I even read you had posted how he had picked up his first, was it a commercial gig?
Yeah, so it's crazy. Like right after we wrapped Mallet, I think it was even before we wrapped, there was a TV commercial. They were looking for like kids that fit his script, and his mom submitted him for it. He went in, he auditioned, they loved it, and he got his first TV paid gig. And they just couldn't believe that he was starring as a lead role in his first feature film at 8 years old. And that obviously that he's lucky, and I'm lucky. Like, he's lucky because he has a dad that makes horror films that took that opportunity and took that chance of putting an 8-year-old as a lead. And I'm lucky, man, that I just had this conversation before I started the podcast with my kids. I said, if you guys weren't a part of this, I don't know that I would be putting the kind of love and passion into it that I am, because I am so busy. As much as I love filmmaking, I don't need to take on anything else that can take me away from family. Right. So the fact they're involved with it, it's perfect. And what really makes it exciting is they want to do more. My oldest son that plays Mallet was just over here telling me, Dad, I can't wait till we do part 3. I'm like,
damn. And I had posted on my post when I put the video up, I was like, man, is there going to be a trilogy? I guess that answers that.
Yeah. So from the beginning, when I wrote it, here's the thing. So like from the beginning, I wanted there to be the nightmare begins, the nightmare continues, the nightmare ends. I seen it as a trilogy. I'm like, dude, this could be this. But of course we had to drop the first film and see what the response was. It was great. It was beyond what I expected. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, let's do part 2, but let me not hold back, because the first film is good, but part 2 is great. And I'm not somebody that gasses myself up. Like, I'm so honest with myself. I even told the kids when we did part 1, I said, look, I know we've just put 6 months of work into this, but if we watch it from the beginning to the end and we are all not happy and proud of what we've made, we're just going to have it for us. I'm not going to put it out. And they're like, what? Like, what? No, we got to put it out. And I said, look, guys, I said, this movie could be around forever. Yeah. And thank God we were all happy with the finished product. But I can tell you, man, I can't wait to talk to you about Mallet 2, because it's a whole different animal. And if you like the first film, you're going to just be a huge Mallet fan once you see part 2.
Man, bro. And I know, I mean, obviously, man, I mean, the first one was freaking great, man. I mean, you guys did a hell of a job. I was impressed with it. I ended up streaming it, man. I mean, I haven't bought the DVD yet, I will say that, but I will. And I'll, being that, you guys are doing part 2, man. I mean, I was excited, man, because like you said, it's one of those movies that can keep on going. Your kids being so young, they can carry that movie on later on, years later. And it's just something that can keep going for a good while.
Yeah, it's true, man. And those are conversations we have. I do have other scripts that I've written that are really good, feature length. Next year, starting in January, I'm pretty much, I've got it scheduled out right now to where every year, starting in January, first quarter, we're going to start a new movie. I have another script for another film I'm going to do next year, which is a supernatural demonic film. And we're going to kind of give Mallet a year to breathe and see where it's at the end of 2025 and say, hey, do we want to come into 2026 doing the, finishing off the trilogy? So, that conversation's there. But I mean, beyond the supernatural film, I've got some really great scripts, man. And they were scripts that I was going to shop to studios. And I just said, you know what? I don't want to put this out there. I'm going to do this. These are my babies. And I think that anybody that writes knows, man, there's nothing like directing your own film. If you give it to somebody else, it's probably not going to be what you visioned. So I know people that have done a great job with that, but you hear the conversation most of the time go, I wouldn't have done it any other way if I couldn't direct it. So
right. Yeah.
But
no, it makes sense, because I mean, of course, this is stuff. I mean, when it comes to writing, I mean, it's all like you said. When you're started your YouTube channel, I mean, it was pretty much supernatural. You're doing right. It wasn't necessarily horror, but I mean, just the fact that you're going back to that, is that something you were kind of like in the back of your head? You're like, man, I'm gonna have to go back and do this.
Well, see, like I told you a minute ago, like when we were talking about doing Mallet, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I didn't have any idea. I told the kids we might get lucky and sell 1,000 copies. I never dreamed we would sell 6,400 and something copies in 6 months. Now, even though that's not a lot, for somebody's first movie with no backing, doing all these damn jobs, as you know, man, I just carry the torch on everything. It was a big deal to us. They made some money. They were happy. We made enough money to invest in the next 2 films. I haven't paid myself from any of those sales. All that money's going right back into, continuing to do this. But had we been talking, the conversation been that we were going to do a supernatural film, now I could have told you my fans are going to grab that shit up and go crazy. So I kind of leaked that out there on my main Facebook page. And a lot of people are like, yes, that's what we want. That's what we want. So, I think that film's even going to find success, and the YouTube thing definitely has helped, but I want to find a fan base beyond that. I want to really tap into the horror arena and get some of those hardcore horror people over. And I think what does it, honestly, is Mallet 2, because I want to make films. I make films like the films I like to watch. Yeah. And I am huge on blood and gore. I'm huge on slashers. It is. There's something about it, man. It just gets me going, and I know how to. I know how to do it really well, but in the first film, I was scared because I was doing so many jobs. I was like, I can make this person's head explode, but that's a lot to do to jump behind the camera and be hitting these blood pumps and lighting and directing. And I was like, maybe I better, just take the easy route on this kill. And this kill, I might not show you how he dies. You get the gist of it. But then in the next kill, you see it. So I kind of I played with it to make it comfortable. And with Mallet 2, I'm just going balls out to the wall. It's the first 12 minutes of it almost made my mother have a heart attack.
Damn.
She had came over for my son's birthday, and I was like, hey, do you want to check out 12 minutes of the new movie I'm working on? And she's like, yeah. And some of these scenes, they're not where they're supposed to be yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, this will move further later on. This will move over here. But together, she's watching kill shots. And she just had me stop it 3 or 4 times. And she said, Jody, it looks amazing. I can't watch no more. And
oh, man.
And we've shared that with a few of our friends too, just like, hey, check this out. And we've got the same response from them. Like, whoa, dude, this is like night and day compared to what you did with 1. And
oh, damn.
So, if I had to compare it to anything, I would say if you like Terrifier, you like Hatchet, you're going to love Mallet 2.
Nice, man. Heck yeah, bro. You see, and that's one of the things too, man, because of course, you talked earlier as far as having different businesses. One of the ones that I wanted to show, of course, is a picture of yourself, but this is in front of your haunted house, bro. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, that's my haunted house attraction and film studios. That's my home office for Dean's Haunted Mansion. It's in Fort Gaines, Georgia. Since I was a kid, there's 2 things I always wanted to do, and that's make horror films and have a haunted house attraction. The haunted house attraction came to life first. I still was under the impression that a movie would be too much to take on. And believe it or not, making a haunted house attraction was easier. So I took that step first, and then I did the movie. But in Fort Gaines, every haunt season, September and October, Friday, Saturday nights, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Full length haunted house attraction, man. You got to go through the haunted mansion. You got to go through the zombie apocalypse to get to the exit. I made it to scare adults, and there's grown ass men that run out of that thing crying every year. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know if I'm in long term going to keep the haunted house attraction going. I'll still, go under Dean's Haunted Mansion and everything. That's just my thing. But it's a lot of work, and I really want to put all my eggs in the movie basket. So I am trying to shave weight in some areas to make sure that come 2025, I can really focus on this, because I pushed it out of my life, man, for almost 10 years. And it's all I could think about those 10 years. So now that I know it's received well enough to it's given me the confidence to say, I got enough here to know that I can survive in this genre as an indie filmmaker. So, that's the big plan right now, man, is 2025 just going all in.
Yeah, bro. And of course, being that you have family involved, when it comes to, being actors,
Right.
What was the reason? You actually shared this, so you gave us a little teaser as far as what happens to you in part 2 in the character.
Yeah.
So, what was that about? Was that kind of like, hey, I'm going to step away and I'm going to just work behind the scenes, or?
Yeah. So, I kind of, I wanted to, I knew eventually I was going to die in this whole thing. And I know that's kind of a spoiler alert for anybody that, but it's very minimal. It's a very minimal spoiler alert. I wanted to stay behind the camera. I do have a second shooter in case of emergencies. But I really just want to be behind the camera and directing, man, making sure that everything gets shot the way I wanted to. And I put myself in part one. A lot of filmmakers, man, they put themselves in the little part in the film. George Romero, you see him in Diary of the Dead for a second there. We always would see Stan Lee, you see Quentin, Eli Roth. But, I've always had a love for acting myself. And I will be in the supernatural demonic film, but I will hire a full-time second shooter, to be alongside of me when I'm not filming. So that can work. But as far as Mallet 2 goes, I wanted to be able to just say, hey, man, this is what I want. Here's how it's got to be framed. Let's hit it like this and get me out of the film. And I feel like I have a really cool death scene in the film. It's not one of the worst, I can tell you that, but it's a good exit for Coach Jim, who I play in the movie, and I play Tyler's dad. So, yeah, man, I die, and you can look forward to seeing me doing more acting if you're interested, in the supernatural demonic film, which I'll talk more about that probably towards the end of the year.
No, for sure, man. And of course, I mean, there was this image that was floating around, man, and I just wanted to get your feedback on it. But is this the cover, or is this just like a drawing that you just put up?
No, it was just a little something that I whipped together. It's not the cover. The actual cover will melt people's faces off. It's going to be great. We actually already know what it's going to be and everything that it's going to be, which is really cool. That was just a little something just to say, like, hey, that is how he looks in Mallet 2, which is cool.
Okay.
Like he's a little bit more sinister than he was in 1. Yeah, I made a new mask. Same aspects and attributes as the first one, but I did something a little bit different, darkened it up a lot, and his whole presence, and he's just a darker individual in part 2. So, that's the big thing there. For anybody that's like, hey, man, besides the blood and the gore, what else is there? Well, this guy in part 1, Mallet, the killer, Henry, he was very bitter, angry, mad, and it all was over getting kicked off of a basketball team. And then this witch got in his ear, handed him this mask, and told him that he was capable of doing very bad things. And he learns that, he can take his emotions out with the mallet. What he doesn't realize is that his opponent will be an 8-year-old kid that he's known his family his whole life. And this kid now has premonitions through his nightmares. So anything that happens in his nightmares becomes a reality. So therefore, he has a chance to fix the situation when it happens in real time. So every time he's faced with this guy, now he knows what's going to happen with this killer. So it's a very unique twist. But in part 2, that element's still there. However, this guy's not just mad and sad no more. He's embraced. He's menacing as can be, and you almost feel like he has a superpower. In the aspect of he's got that traditional style feel that in those horror characters, man, that like Michael Myers just can't be stopped. No matter what you do, he's coming back. Well, Mallet's got that too, and it feels real. Like that's what's really cool about it is like, there's a sense when you're watching it, like this shit could really, really happen. Like you don't feel the fictition in a lot of it. And then some of it, you're like, okay, well, there's that 80s style, horror right there. But the storyline, man, is a real possibility.
No, for sure, man. You see, and that's one of the things too, because I'm glad you brought that up, because you talked about the horror, about the violence, as far as what the movie brings. But the storylines, man, they got to make sense, and they got to grab you, they got to hook you in, keep you along, you know. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to part 2, man. Part 3, you know, trilogy, of course, you know, that does come a year later, you know, like you said, let
That
it breathe.
script's already written, bro. That's what's crazy is like I'm like so ahead of the game, man. Like we're really you know, we're really focused together on this, and I don't know, you know, what happens after 3, but my oldest son was just saying, you know what we could do for 4, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, you know, let's, and you know, we might have got lucky on the first one. I don't think so. I think you know, I think that I see how horror people are looking for the right films to be involved with and to support, and they want to find something new that they can just, you know, really love. And I think Mallet 2 is the one that does that. So we'll see what happens. But I would love to keep him around beyond that. I think he's a cool character. In my mind, I created him from the ground up, and what I seen in my mind is exactly what I created. So it'll be interesting to see the future.
Man, and let me ask you, because when it comes to writing, has anywhere along these movies, like, I mean, you say you've already written the part 3. Is there a possibility of there being like a movie within a movie? I mean, have you thought about like a character that maybe has a story of his own?
You know, dude, that is something you say that, because we were talking about this character in part 3, and you know, that a little bit of a spoiler there, that really could exist on their own, which is really cool. But maybe you never know. Maybe that could, you know, turn into part 4 down the line, and it's a really good story, man. You know, all I do, I'm like you, bro. All I do is watch horror films. That's every single day of my life. If I have 1 hour at the end of my day after all the stuff I do, I put on a horror film. That's been happening my entire life, just about. So I'm aware of what people like, what does good, what doesn't, what I want to watch. And with the first movie, I definitely I had a safety net there, like, you know, let's keep it, you know, let's keep it good, but let's don't go overboard just because we don't want it to look goofy, or we don't want it to look not professional. So with what I'm doing in 2, I've already tested those things that I was scared to do in 1. Like that 12 minutes of edited footage is vicious. I mean, it is brutal. And I think that's what's cool is I'm like, dude, 12 minutes of part 2 just blows away the whole first film.
Yeah, bro.
And the second film's in all in 4K. Just last night, I put in a big order for so I bought 2 new cameras that I won't be obviously I won't be using on Mallet 2. We've already started filming, but I bought 2 cameras just getting ready for part 3. And I'm moving from what I'm using now into shooting with red cameras, and that's going to be a huge deal. I mean, they're using red cameras on some of my favorite horror films.
Yeah.
So things are going to step up. I think that 5 years from now, if we sit down and we have a conversation, man, it's going to be up there. I think that what we're doing is going to really, you know, skip light years ahead on an indie level. You know, I again, I don't lie to myself, bro. Like I you know, I watch these films and I rate them accurately. You know, my favorite horror film, I think, of all time, and a lot of people tell me I'm crazy, but it has everything that I look for, is Wrong Turn 4: Bloody Beginnings.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Beautiful film.
Yeah.
They got the sex, they got the soundtrack, they got the kills, they got the gore, they got the storyline, they got great acting, they got a beautiful set where it's all taking place. It's filmed great. But the whole movie was filmed in less than 30 days. It's an indie film. Now they had some money but you know, like honestly, it's something that I would be proud to have my name attached to. And so when I'm rating films, I'm saying, okay, well, if this is my favorite, where do I stand right there with what I'm creating? And or anything I watch, I kind of base it like that. And I'm honest with myself, and I think that's what's going to get us far is, you know, I told my kids, they were like, what do you rate Mallet 1? I said a 2. They were like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah. I mean, honestly, there's films out there that don't deserve a rating. There's films out there that, you know, everybody gets an A for effort.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But there's films that I've watched before that I've had to pain myself to finish. And I still respect them. And guess what? I'll watch those again.
Yeah.
Even though they might be terrible, I have a love for terrible indie horror films. I really do. You know, I respect creativity and the process. But I was like, I'm proud of it being a 2 on that film, guys. Really, I am. And they're blown away by me saying that. But you got to be honest with yourself.
No, you see, and that's one of the things too, because I mean, I've been in the theater, you know, watch a movie on the big screen, and it's just not good, bro. And I'll sit through it. Like, I won't leave. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Let me see what else comes out of it, you know. And I mean, I leave, and I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't for me, you know. Somebody else might be like, oh man, this is the best movie ever, and I'm like, cool, man. If they can get that out of it, then you know, they did their job, you know. But I mean, well, one of the things that me and my buddy Braxton, man, we've been using a lot lately is the term "not my horror."
Right.
Because there's so many genres out there, and I tell people like, man, that's horror, but that's not for me. Like, I'll respect it. I'm like, put it up there, but it's just not for me. You know, the same thing with somebody else. They, you know, I'm a big you know, 80s, you know, comedy horror guy, man. And so when those come out, I love them, bro. Everybody's like, dude, that's not even good. And I'm like, hey, it does it for me, man. I'm happy. You know, it's it makes me laugh, and it keeps me, you know, keeps me going. But yeah, man. But I mean, you know, like you said, you know, I definitely respect, you know, everybody putting their word, putting their effort, you know, whether they should be on the big screen or not. You know, they got it up there to begin with, so obviously they're doing something right. You know.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's a lot of people I've seen on streaming services that I've taken a chance on watching their movie, and they probably feel that maybe they might feel the same about mine, and that's fine. You know, like everything's not for everybody, and you got to be okay with that. You can't take it personal.
No.
You know, I only thought that we would probably sell 1,000 DVDs. Yeah. I told the kids, you know, because I made this deal with them. I had said, look, I want to really make this worth your while. You know, you're 8, you're 15, which is crazy because my 15-year-old, when he shot the first Mallet movie, he was big, but when he just turned 16 in January, he's like 6'2" now, and when he puts the Mallet boots on, he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's huge, monster. But you know, I told him, I said, look, guys, I'm gonna give you each $1 from every DVD we sell. Wow. And I said, you know, that deal is probably unheard of. I don't know if any other actors out there have ever got that, but you know, also I don't know if we're gonna sell 100 copies or 1,000.
Right.
You know, in 6 months, we sold 6,000, like 400 something DVDs. Each of my kids, man, were smiling so hard. Their faces were hurting. My oldest, he collects Pokemon stuff. He just went crazy, bought boxes from the 90s and early 2000s. And, you know, they're happy that they're making good money. They're having fun. And yeah, we're keeping it family 100. So.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, I kind of like the fact that you said, you know what, for one movie, like for every movie sold, you know, you get so much. Because for me, I would personally go that route. Like, I'd be like, man, you know what, I'm putting more effort into it. You know, I mean, obviously, if I'm in a movie, I want to put the best work that I can, and I want to make it, you know. But at the same time, like, I want to sell that film. You know, I want to show it to people and be like, hey, you know what, you gotta check it out. You know, and not just to make money, but just to get it out there. But it's more motivation, though.
Yeah, it is. And I told them from the beginning, and I'll tell you this, I've told anybody like I've talked to or done any conversations about, you know, our films. You know, I told the kids, we'll never have a theatrical release, guys. Like, I'm sure film festivals are probably going to nominate it here and there. We'll get showed on some big screens that way. But I said, anything we release is going to be unrated. I'm never going to submit a film to ratings. to get turned down. And you know, with that being said, I could make a film that I feel could be a blockbuster, and it's still, I'm not going to submit it for ratings. I'm not ever trying to get played in a movie theater. In my opinion, we've seen the day the Nun 2 came out. We went and seen it. There was 3 people in the movie theater on a Friday night. When we went and seen Saw X, I think it was on a Saturday, there was about 3 or 4 people in the movie theater. Movie theaters are all but dead. And it sucks. It's sad. I still enjoy that experience, so I'll continue to go to watch those films I'm looking forward to. But as far as our films go, indie horror belongs straight to DVD on streaming services. Everybody's streaming. I rarely hear anybody say, man, we should go see a movie Friday night. It's kind of dead. It's sad, but it's true.
No, for sure. Because me and my girl, like, we usually have a date night, Fridays, we get off early from work. First thing we do is like, man, let's go watch a movie, and we get there and more than half the time it's just us. And
right.
We're like, man, it's like a private viewing. I'm like, heck yeah, dude, let's roll it, And but you're right though, man. It's not what it used to be, I mean, kind of like with Blockbuster back in the day, everybody loved going. Then when they started streaming the movies, it kind of took away from that. But so now you're home, you're. I mean, I'll say this: there's movies that I've seen, and I'm like, man, that would have been a great stay-home movie.
Right.
And I don't say that in a bad way. I just rather be home comfortable and watching it. And I'm like, dude, that would have been perfect, And one of those movies is actually streaming now, but it's Thanksgiving. Like, when I saw it in the theater, I was just like, dude, I would have loved to have seen this at home. I don't know why. It just gave me that homey feeling.
I really enjoyed that film. I thought he had some really, really unique moments in there. And yourself, man, every time you see a new horror film, there's going to be a slasher. You wonder, how are they going to make this different? Because we've just seen everything. And that's where I try and get really creative beyond this point. So beyond the first Mallet film, I'm really trying to go for originality as much as I can. Sometimes there's ways to take kills and make them your style. Everybody does that. I've seen Eli Roth I've seen so many people just take a kill that's been done a million times, but the way they do it, you feel like it's the first time. But I really want to dig in there, man, and try and do some stuff, especially with part 3 that has just never been done. And that might be the film that I actually allow people to work with me on special effects and stuff like that. And I bring in some people that, are good at working with silicone, just in a run and gun fashion. Like, yo, this is what we need to do. We need this by tomorrow. Bam, bam, bam. Let's go. But as of right now, I will tell you, there's parts in Mallet 2 that we're having this conversation constantly as we're in production on it, that we're just like, man, this is really cool. This has never been done. There's a lot of moments that I could see that are going to be very controversial. And if it has the chance to live out there and have more success than Mallet 1, or at least the same success, I think a lot of people are going to be like, dude, that kill in Mallet 2 where, he did so-and-so, you got to watch that. And those are really what makes horror films blow up. I can't tell you how many films I've watched because somebody told me, 14 years ago, oh man, when Hatchet tore this guy's arm off, the blood shot 14 feet. I'm like, what? 14 feet?
Let me go measure that stuff.
We're really focused on things like that, man. And I think it's kind of important. It's really got to be the only way to break through, because a lot of things I do watch do feel so processed that it's almost like, other than a new DVD cover or a new graphic thumbnail, that it's just reprocessed. It's just different actors, same set, same idea. Still respect it, still love to watch it, still support it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, fuck, guys, we really got to stand out.
For sure, man. And I mean, you talked about repurpose. I mean, there's one that always gets me, man. It's the Stepfather. I've seen that cover with him on the stairway, like in so many different movies, and I'm like, is that the same
Yeah.
movie? Or it's like something else, you know? But yeah, there's quite a few out there, man. Of course, you gotta do a double take and make sure it's not, you know, the movie you're thinking about. But
It's true, man. Especially with the supernatural demonic films, I think they really, you know, that's kind of just been so wrapped up to where it's like, how many times, you know, can the door open and slam? Can the lights flicker? It's like, how do we really take it to, you know, somewhere that somebody's gonna say, "Oh man, that was different," and it's hard. It's hard because those things are scary as can be, and they're still cool. But you get what I'm saying. It's just when I'm sitting down writing something now, I'm really like, okay, don't do that. It's been done before. Don't do that. That feels too much like this style. You know, I kind of, one of the most important things to me, and I know it's going to take a while to get there, but I said this in the interview I did the other night, was I have this dream that maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, people are watching a film. They just click on it. They don't know who did it. They don't know it's a Jody S. Dean film, but they watch it and they're like, dude, I bet you Jody S. Dean did this film. And
nice.
then you check it and you see that. And why that's a goal of mine, I don't know, man. I think I love when people appreciate style. And I know that's one thing I definitely bring to the table. You know, like I said, with Mallet, what really made Mallet unique, if anybody watched it from beginning to end, was this kid's premonitions, these nightmares. You had to know when you were in dream, when you were in fantasy, and when you were in real time. And by the end of the movie, you're like, shit, who's still alive and who's still dead? Who's coming back? But it's a cool thing because you got to have little twists like that. And I think in part 2, man, it's bro. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, this story is where it needs to be for people to understand. Like, okay, when I'm watching the Mallet movie, I'm not only getting the slasher, I'm getting these crazy outlandish kills, but I don't know if they're gonna happen once or twice to the same person.
Nice, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, because on a lot of those, I mean, they leave a lot. You know, when it comes to movies, man, they leave you hanging. You know, it's like, I mean, you talked once again. You know, you talked about
yeah.
things that have been done that you're trying to stay away from. So of course, for originality, man, I mean, you know that's one of those. I mean, when you're writing it, do you think about that? I mean, when you're writing, or do you just write it out and then go back and okay, well, this ain't gonna work? I mean, do you kind of?
Yeah, there was people that there were, for the most part, everybody like got exactly where I went with the first film. Like I had a bunch of people write me and be like, man, there was times where I was like, well, is Jody dead in the film? Is Coach Jim dead? Or, you know, is he still alive? And then there was a lot of people that were like, dude, I love what you did there, man. You had it twisting and turning. I thought it was over a few times, but in the ending, are you actually dead now? That's what's going to be really interesting when you come into part 2. You know, you're going to be like, oh shit, that's what we set it up for. So yeah, I do. I'm conscious of that stuff, man, and I'm thinking about it like how my writing process is. So it's not like I know a lot of writers, so I don't know everybody's technique, but in my opinion, it's really crazy. Like most everything I've written script wise, feature length, is done in about 2 weeks. When I sit down to write, I don't walk away usually until I am deep. And that's why they get done so quick. And it's not that I'm trying to knock them out and get it done. I just know once you get to that creative point where it's flowing like blood, the last thing you want to do is turn your computer off and walk away.
Yeah.
You know, and usually whenever I do write a film, I'll get ahead on YouTube and other things and other businesses and other things, you know, life things. And I'll just kind of push everything to the side for a couple weeks. And you would think that I'm just grinding every day because you're getting content every other day and you're seeing this on social media. But really, I'm just locked in my office writing away. And usually, man, I can't do anything else until I get it done. So that's kind of my process. And I think of the character from the ground up. I think of really cool ways to twist and turn the stories. And you know, the supernatural demonic film, I think what would be really cool about that is one thing I left out, is it's not just a supernatural demonic film, it's a slasher.
Oh, damn.
So that right there already makes it unique, because it's usually one or the other. It's supernatural or it's demonic or both those, but then it's got the slasher element. And you know, that's a huge twist. I can't name a film that's like that.
No, you see, and that's kind of, I mean, we were talking earlier about, you know, not my horror. You know, there's so many different movies out there, but that's true, man. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I can't remember of a film that was like that. So that's
It's usually one or the other.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I you know, I love that process of it. And I think that's what will be cool when I kind of do scale back from some other things in business and everything like that, is if I'm getting there now, imagine where I could get if I had more time to focus, you know, even more. I don't know that I would need more time, but I'll just say that the way my brain works, the way my energy is, I did just turn 40 years old on February 3rd. I keep wondering if something's going to change, like if I'm going to wake up one day and just be like, I'm dead to the world. But at this point right now, man, I feel like I did when I was 17 years old. I keep thinking in my whole 30s, I was like, man, when am I going to chill out? When am I going to chill out? And thank God I haven't, because in all honesty, in order to do a film that you're going to write, direct, film, edit, do all these things, you have to be ready to freaking go. I definitely understand why people do have 15, 20 people on set working all these jobs, taking care of the littlest minute things, because it's a lot. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just can't see doing it any other way. And I even had a guy, check this out. I don't think I mentioned this to anybody yet, but about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I had this guy that I wrote a script for his company in my mid-20s. He got wind of I had released a horror film. Maybe my mom had ran into him and told him something like that. He's done some pretty big films. I won't name drop him, but he reached out to me and was like, "Look, I heard about it. I checked it out." He said, "I'm looking at the credits. I'm seeing nothing but your name." He said, "That was really impressive based on the fact you did that all by yourself. What was your budget?" And I said, "Well, here's the thing." I said, "I did spend money. I did pay actors. I invested in all my equipment. But I said, that's hard to say because I did every job." And I said, "But I kind of figure if I had to pay somebody to film, edit, do the music, costume design, create a character from the ground up, like all this stuff," I said, "I couldn't have probably done it for less than $500,000. I wouldn't imagine." Right. I said, "So I would say that maybe on the first film, you know, if I'm putting a number on my time, about $500,000. And he basically was like, "Well, dude, I'll give you, you know, 60,000 to start with on your second film if you'll put me on, you know, let me just kind of partner up on this thing." And he was like, you know, he threw out a really low percentage. And I was like, I don't need it because, you know, I'm using the money from part one and I'm still doing all those jobs. But I let it float around a little bit because this guy does have a name in the industry. He has some huge films under his belt. And we talked about it for a few days. We were on the phone, we were video chatting, and he just all of a sudden, man, he was like telling me I should do this, I should change this, take this out, come back on this. And I was just like, you know what? Keep your money, bro. Keep your money. But you know, in a nice way, I just kind of was like, look, this is my baby. You know, I want to be the only cook in my kitchen. And I said, no offense. I said, I appreciate, you know, your offering. But I was like, I don't really need it. And so I want to just do this on my own. But it still impressed me that somebody, you know, I'm one film into my film career and somebody's offering to just, you know, give me access to a bank account with 60 grand. And, you know, like, that's cool. But, you know, if somebody's going to change what you're doing, it's kind of like, eh.
No, yeah, you see, and that's kind of like you were saying earlier, you know, having too many people on there, you know, ideas, and everybody wants to do things their way. And it's like, But man, that's I mean, that was definitely a compliment. You know, I mean, somebody
Yeah.
offering you money, man. I mean, that's saying you're doing something right, man. And
Right.
obviously you are.
Yeah, no, you know, and that's one cool thing, man, is I'm glad that, you know, we've done this all right, the right way. I paid the kids immediately. Anytime money would come in at the end of the month, I would pay them their money. But as I mentioned earlier, I've never paid myself from the film. I'm living off of YouTube money, and just, you know, other businesses, whatever. I pretty much have just been like this, you know, other than shipping costs, manufacturing costs. I just everything the first film made. I'm like, okay, well, if I break that remaining into 2 films, I can do Mallet 2 and I can do the supernatural demonic film. And then, you know, hopefully the idea is that if they do as good as Mallet 1, it's a huge success. Um, I seen some shit on Google like 3 weeks ago, and I seen where this person, like several people, it wasn't just one person. Um, I seen several films where people had invested $1 million into making these horror films, and they hadn't even sold 1,000 DVDs.
Damn.
And I was just thinking to myself, bro, like maybe I do got something here, you know? Like I know I do, but like that kind of just was like a little bit of a boost, I guess you could say.
No, for sure, man. Because I mean, of course, like you said, you know, you don't want to. You were planning on keeping it indie. You know, you
Right.
didn't you weren't thinking like big time as far, or not big time, but I mean as far as it being on theaters, because
Yeah.
in the indie world, man, I mean there's movies out there that don't make it to the big screen, and they're classics, bro. I mean,
Right.
people still talk about them, and it's like, wow, okay, you know what? Like it's still, you know, I mean, one of the things I will say, man, you talked about earlier, because I've been doing a lot of perks. I've been doing a lot of voice acting, you know, just voice perks out there, and everybody's like, oh, you know what, why are you doing this? And for me, it's like, you know what, if I get in the movie and I'm in there, like I'll be there forever, man. My kids will be able to hear it later. My grandkids will be able to hear it, you
Yeah,
know,
man.
years later after I'm gone. I mean, hopefully I'll stick around, you know, years from now. But it's just it's a forever thing, you know. These movies, I mean, when everything's said and done, and you're like, hey, you know what, you decide you don't want to do anymore, which of course won't be anytime soon. But you know, these movies, I mean, they're gonna be there, man. People are gonna have
Right.
years and years. People are gonna be able to stream it or watch it somewhere, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I love it in the aspect. Like I have friends that I know a lot of people that, you know, I know guys that their thing is hunting. There's
Yeah.
guys that are into collecting, which I'm into collecting too, you know, like I have many different things I'm into, but like I'm not into golf. I'm not into this. I'm not into hunting. I Making these films for me doesn't feel like work. It's so much fun. I love being busy to where I feel like I'm right at the brink of maybe like I could explode, but then right at that moment, I have this something that just kicks into where I'm like, dude, we're making a piece of history, possibly.
Yeah.
Just the fact that there's a possible chance that this could be something that could make other people as happy as me. And yeah, you get that memory, that visual memory. I told the kids in the beginning, I said, look, it really don't matter if we sell one copy. You guys are going to have a movie we did together. You'll have that forever. You can watch it with your kids one day. And um the fact that it had some success, man, it made me super proud. It made them proud, but also it just in my 20s, I felt like I had something there when it came to horror films and writing, and I pushed it to the side, and that killed me emotionally. You know, it hurt a little bit. It was a stab to say, damn, it sucks. For the most part, anything I've ever wanted to do in my life, I've done it. But that was one thing I was like, making movies is big. Like when you first have that idea, like I want to make movies, and you don't know anybody in Hollywood, you don't know anybody that makes films, like it's a little discouraging. It's like, man, I want to do this so bad. And then you're like, well, how do I do it? I have to learn every job.
Yeah.
And I've literally taken all these years to do it. And had I not, it would have never happened. Like I understand lighting and framing and filming and you know, I'm not when it comes to special effects, I'm not no Damian Leon, but I'll say that I'm not far. I'm not far. Like, you know, like I know how to do all that stuff. I'm getting there. I mean, and that's where big money comes in too. Like, you know, like when you're working with silicone every single day, I mean, hell, I could have ate that guy 60 grand up in probably like, 2 months, easy, just with special effects. If I wanted to like just really up it beyond what I have, but I've taken the time to learn all these jobs, so luckily, I had my chance to do it, man. But from here out, like I'm just stoked to continue. The nightmare continues.
No, for sure, man. And let me ask you, because I mean, you had talked about taking a break from Mallet too, once it's out.
Yeah.
Have you thought about letting it live somewhere else, as far as like maybe like I mean, and of course, part 3's and in talks, and of course, you're looking at filming that as well. But say like Mallet trading cards, Mallet comic books. I mean, is there a life outside for Mallet outside of film?
That's definitely something we'd love to see, man. I mean, whenever I thought of the character in my head, he just was so cool. And when I put him on screen, I'm like, man, he's even cooler. And now I'm out too. He's so cool. We've had that conversation, man. It'd be cool to see him as a toy. It'd be cool to see him in a video game, but I know we're so far away from that, and like we got to live in reality. Those are goals. I'm hoping that that's where this gets. I mean, yeah, I want it to be there. The first film, I was kind of like just up in the air. Like I was definitely going for the best that I could put out at the time. I wanted to make something great. I wasn't slacking. I did hold back, but I never slacked on quality or script or directing. But from here now, the goal is to really take this as big as I can. And honestly, it has nothing to do with money, with celebrity. It's one of those things to where I really want to take. I want to take the art to a level to where it can just be appreciated around the world and have those cult followings, because I'm one of those cult followings. Yeah. There's films that I follow and characters I follow, and I was a huge Sid fan, man, and him dying. I don't think there's a week that goes by where I'm like, man, I wonder what he'd be doing now. I wonder what else he would have blessed us with, and no more Captain Spaulding, and I'm very invested in these people, and I want to give that to other people because I feel like the idea is good enough. So I'd love to see that, bro. It's something we've been talking about all week long, is like where this could go and how cool it would be. Because I mean, I think if you took Mallet out of a picture and you put like all these characters standing up here, you took Pinhead, you took Freddy and Jason and Chucky and Ghostface and
Leatherface, man.
Yes, Leatherface, one of my favorite, bro. You take Terrifier and Hatchet and all these iconic characters, and you stand Mallet in there. I don't think you would say that he's out of place.
Yeah.
I feel like his presence, I feel like his look, I feel like it's there. And I feel like there's other people that have that character too. He's unfortunately, it's not standing up there with them, iconically. But I've seen films, man, where I feel like other people got that and it just didn't happen. So, it's a shot. Their films were still very successful. Maybe they're not, those characters aren't like praised, but like I seen something last week, Hayride 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I appreciated the hell out of it. The guy who played the killer, I mean, he was huge, bro. He was like big, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. Any guy they've got to play Texas Chainsaw. But I think that Mallet has the name, he has the right thing. And that was another thing when I was coming up with him. I was like, man, everybody's been killed with so many things. What's different? Like, people have used a sledgehammer, they have used a mallet, but nobody was claiming the name and nobody was just using that. Like, that was the main thing. They wake up and say, this is my killing tool. you know, Texas Chainsaw Man, he's got his chainsaw, but Michael, he's got his long ass knife. It's longer than a baby's arm, but you know, nobody was claiming the mallet, and I think he's got it. And I hope that's where it goes. But if not, I got some other characters in the pipeline, dude, that are they've got the potential to be huge too.
Nice, bro. And of course, I mean, with all these other movies that you have in mind, is the family going to be involved too? The kids?
Yeah, I told them, and I hope to God that it you know, everybody feels the same. I know this is still all new to everybody, but I told the kids, I said, you know, my vision, what I would like to see is us all doing this together for years to come. And I've asked them, like, you know, if there's something else you want to do, you don't have to do this. And they're like, man, no, this is fun. I love this. It's awesome making movies. So everything I write, I do have them in mind for every main role. In some way, shape, or form. Like in the Supernatural film, I would be playing a lead role. Jace would be playing a lead role. Anthony would be playing a lead, but then we'd bring in a new lead to play like a girl part. And that would probably be like one of our best friends or somebody that's like we're really connected with, because, you know, we the girl that plays in Mallet 1 and she's in 2 that plays Lindsay, the concerned neighbor, she's one of our great friends, and she's an amazing actor. Her name's Katie. She's going to be in that film. She might be playing that lead role. Nice. So we're trying to keep it in a circle, but we also, in Mallet 2, I've used a lot of actors, bro. Like you would think this film has, I think if you watched it and you didn't know me and somebody was like, guess what the budget is for this film? I think you would probably say, I don't know, 600, 700,000, you know, just based on the look, the quality, and then the special effects. Because special effects, bro, oh my God, that's expensive to do if you don't know how to do it. Like if I couldn't do it, if I had to hire an effects team, I wouldn't be able to make this movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, you see, and the fact, I mean, let me ask you, because of course, from you being a YouTuber, did you go to YouTube to learn how to make this stuff, man?
So, all right. Well, I'll say this. In my early to mid 20s, when I had been chasing the music dream from 9 years old to about 26. When I was 26 years old, I got shot walking out of a nightclub, and I kind of was hanging up the music thing right there. I was like, man, maybe this isn't for me. I'm in a dangerous field, and the year before that, I got stabbed through my hand, and it was just getting really bad. And I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong scene. I started doing short films, and I was like, for the first time in my life, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it no matter what I have. I don't care what camera I shoot it on. Like, I just want to do it, get my feet wet, learn through trial and error. I wanted to do a zombie short film, and I didn't know like anybody that did special effects. So I did go to YouTube, and I seen some people doing some stuff, and I'm like, dude, I can do that. That's easy. And I literally emulated what they did the first time, and I just picked it up like very naturally to where I was like, okay, well, I'll use the same stuff, but I'll shape it like this. I'll have it here. And dude, I just got really good to the point to where it wasn't even a year into doing that. And people that I was starting to meet that were also doing short films, that were doing features, were like, yo, I need a special effects artist. Can I pay you to come like do this? And I was getting gigs after like a year, bro.
Damn.
I mean, some dude called me up one day, this dude Brian, and he was like, he's like, man, I need this set built to look like something out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I need somebody to be there to do all these special effects. And I was like, what's your budget? And he was like, $600. I'm like, shit. And I made it happen, and I literally didn't make anything on it just to make it the best that I could. His feature, short film, whatever it was, I forget now. But it ended up winning like some kind of award. But it wasn't for necessarily for that, but like that definitely was like the core of what was making it scary, because that's why that scene was so important. He's like, I don't got a lot of money, dude. He's like, I need this to be, you know, the kill scene in the film. So I knew I had something there. And now I really maybe we could circle back around right when it's after you see the trailer, and we could have a conversation again. And I think you might be like, holy cow, dude, like what the hell? Like I didn't even expect that. Because there's some stuff that I'm doing in this film that really I shouldn't be doing this early on.
Yeah.
Especially without help. I mean, I did say after Mallet 1, I was like, you know what? We made a significant amount of money from Mallet 1. I'm going to hire a few people to work under me. That lasted for like one day. People showed up and talking, checking their phones. And I'm like, yeah, fuck this, dude. I'm going to do it all myself. And honestly, it's working greatly.
No, man. I mean, and that's when it's got to be important too, because like you said earlier, you know, you and your kids, I mean, you guys talked and you're like, hey, we're not happy with it.
Right.
Then, you know, so obviously, I mean, you guys are happy with it. So, you know, the product's gotta, it represents you guys. So you gotta be happy with the final product, man. So I mean, you know, it makes me excited, bro. It makes me happy because it's like, you know what, you guys are putting everything into it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. You know, I'm sure many other people, you know, thousands of people that have already bought Mallet 1, you know, looking forward to this. But man, I mean, it's, of course, you know, when this is said and done, man, release. I mean, what date are you looking at for release on the movie?
Yeah, so we're releasing it on October 25th. It's the same day that Terrifier 3 comes out. Yeah, we are really looking forward to Terrifier 3. We are huge fans of Damien and Phil and what they've done, and you know, it's funny because we weren't supposed to release this movie until early 2020, maybe late 2024, early 2025, like right at Christmas time or January next year. And we're way ahead of schedule. It's not like we're trying to knock it out, but it's just getting done very quickly. Everything's been running smooth. And I said, look, guys, I think we're going to be wrapped by May 1st. And for anybody that doesn't know, you may remember this from our first, I think we talked about this, is, you know, I edit as I go along. So if I wake up at 5 o'clock and at 5 a.m. and I start shooting all day, and I get home from shooting at like say 6 or 8, I will edit from 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that everything that I need is there. Because if it's not, it's a lot easier for me to call that person back the next day than 3 or 4, 6 months go by and be like, hey, that thing we did, we got to reshoot it. Now I haven't had to do that. I haven't had to do no callbacks, but that's why I do that. And as we're shooting, the film's getting done. So I would say like our last scene is like towards the end of April. I wouldn't be surprised if the film is finished and polished by like beginning of May.
Damn, wow.
So, you know, I just kind of was like, why wait, man? Why don't we drop it on another day that's going to be iconic for a lot of people? And since I feel like there's nothing bitten from what they're doing, but I'll say that, like, if you love Terrifier, if you love Hatchet, if you love gory, bloody movies with intense storylines that are grindhouse style, have a little bit of an 80s feel, if you're excited for that movie, here's another one.
Yeah.
Go ahead and you know, and the cool thing about ours is it's super low budget and it's still going to be high caliber.
Nice, man. Heck yeah, bro. And that's, I mean, I know Terrifier, I think at one point they were going to release it during Christmas, I think, when they first started talking about it.
Yeah, and that could change. And if it does, I mean, we'll still release on October 25th. We've already started kind of like just putting that out there. But it would be pretty gnarly, man, to you know, for them both to hit the same day. And I'm not sure if they're going to get a theater release or not. I know he was saying that it's going to be like 10 times gorier than the second one. And, you know, mine's probably on the level of his second one. So, you know, it's it's going to be an interesting day, but I've already told people, I'm like, mark your calendar, start saving your money. And I'm like, hey, go grab Terrifier 3, grab Mallet 2. And I can't wait.
Man.
I'm so excited. It's going to be so cool because, if 10 people bought it or 10,000 people bought it, bro, we still would be this happy just because it's hard to believe. Like, you can make something like that, and I know you do, bro. I know you have to. You watch these behind the scenes of these horror films that you really love, right?
Right.
So when I watch those behind the scenes and I see how many people and what goes into it, then I look up on IMDb how much money they're putting in to make that film. And then I look at something that little old us is doing over here, I'm just like, dude, that's what I love about indie horror is when you put a lot of money in the equation, a lot of creativity usually does go out the window. Yeah. I mean, you don't get, you take the easy route. Hey, John, can you make sure you rig this up over here and do this? I'm like, how can I do this? Oh shit, what if his head blows out this way and then that glass in that window hits somebody outside and kills them too? It's like, oh shit. It's like, damn, if we kill him over there, the glass won't hit nobody. He's going to hit a fucking tree. So it's just kind of like, my mind works like that, bro. And I'm kind of like, if I just had to point and stuff, I probably wouldn't be that creative.
No. And then that's why you do what you do, man. Your creativity, you're always thinking ahead of, like you said, you're ahead of the game when it comes to your films. You're ahead of schedule. The fact that you're already thinking, part 3, after a year, letting this one, like you said, breathe. It's gonna be good, man, and I'm excited, bro. I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you to jump on this, man. I truly appreciate that. And of course, I have put the website in the bottom of the video, man. For those watching, of course, they can go to malletmovie.com. Pick up the first one. As far as second one, man, when can they start ordering, doing pre-orders?
Yeah. So late July, early August, we're going to open up for pre-orders at the same as the first film. Anybody that pre-orders is going to get a signed copy by me, the writer director, my oldest who plays Mallet, and my youngest who plays Tyler. So you're going to get 3 of the big dogs, signatures on there, and you're going to get the film just before everybody else does. That's a little perk we did, and it's a little risky too, but there was people like Mallet 1 didn't come out until October 31st, but there were pre-order people that were getting it on like October 15th, October 12th, and like all these early dates. And I remember I was just, we shipped everything out media mail because we were like, we don't have to like rush it or anything. And sometimes media mail can take 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes it can take 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And we were expecting people to get them around like maybe October 25th, October 26th, and people were getting it in the beginning of the month. And I think we're going to continue that tradition there, and everything's going to be released unrated.
No, for sure. I will say this, man. I was a postal employee 15 years, bro. When people used to send stuff, like if they send it priority, we pitch it like to priority mail. If it was a media mail, a lot of times I was that guy that I would look at the zip code and I would just pitch it with that zip code because I'm like, it's already going over there and it would get sent priority. It would get sent with that batch. It just made sense, instead of holding everything back. And then
right
at the end of the day, we got like more mail, media mail than anything else. And it's like, bro, like just let it go with the trucks, man. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what happened, man.
There were people that got it in 3 days. There were people that got it in 3 weeks. And, of course, after pre-orders and the movie came out, we just did regular, like priority, whatever, regular shipping. I actually ended up hiring somebody to help me with that because it was cutting into like YouTube life and stuff like that. It was my wife and me doing it for a while there, but then there was several trips we went to the post office where we'd be walking in with 500 DVDs at a time at like maybe say 10 a.m. and we wouldn't walk out of there until they were closed. There was even days we stayed there like, bro, it got nuts. It got to the point where the people in the Dothan, Alabama post office, and anybody can go there and ask them. They know me by name. Anytime I walk in there, they say, "Oh God, you didn't bring a bunch of movies, did you?" But they love me there. They think I'm a nice guy. We like each other. But I will say, for a while there, man, they were like,
Yeah.
So I hired somebody to work on it for me, and I said, "Hey, let's just do like 50 at a time," and we got her done somehow.
No, for sure. Yeah, bro. Because when it comes to media, or not even so much media mail, but mail that can't be processed through regular mail, like we got to do it manually. We had to do it manually back then. So yeah, I'm sure they were happy with you, bro.
Yeah, they were. It was pretty cool. Like afterwards, like a month down the road, after our last big batch, which I think was in it was in December. Our last big one where we went in there with like, I don't know, maybe like 450 DVDs. About a month after that, sometime in January, when I walked in there, I just walked in there with a few one day because I only had a few with me, and I'm like, these got to get out. I walk in there and they're like, everybody in line, this guy's a movie producer right here, like they're really cool, and people were like, oh really, what you do? And I would tell him, he's bringing 500 DVDs in here at a time for a while there, and they're really sweet people, man. I was kind of shocked that they were nice to me after all that.
No, well, I'm sure you're one of many that was keeping the post office afloat, man. Because I know they're out there struggling for not so much struggling for money, but I mean, as far as like people, not that many people use shipping anymore, man. Everything's email or electronic, but you're keeping it going, man. So that's cool.
Yeah, those overseas ones, man, those are nightmares, bro.
No, yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, you walk in there with 200 DVDs going to Australia and these other countries, and you got to fill out all these slips. It's a nightmare for them and for us. So
no, yeah, I've done that before with action figures, man. I was willing to deal and trading and man, I used to hate it, bro. Like as soon as people would be like, "Hey, man, I'm in Switzerland," or I'm like, "Bro, I can't do that, man." Like it's just it's a lot of work. I mean, this is with a few pieces. I can't imagine with like 400 plus. That's insane, man.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that one. That's one time in my life where I definitely bit off more than I could chew. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't think that out, but I also understand why people usually will get a distributor. But there again, man, I hate putting things in people's hands. It's hard to trust people nowadays. It doesn't matter what agreement you have, and when it comes to the movie business, man, it's best just to really do it in-house if you can. And everything's better if you do it indie, man. Music, everything. I mean, you know that it gets done, and you get paid when you're supposed to get paid. So, that's a benefit about it. But we did end up hiring a guy, and he's still working for us. He's still helping us with DVDs. We're not selling as many now as we were. Like now, we're probably selling maybe like 14 to 20 a week, which is still good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, and not bad at all. I'm tickled to death, but he's helping with that and some other things behind the scene, which is really, really cool. So, I mean, we do have one person on the team, which is a big help, man. Sometimes you need it, and luckily he's been working out good. So hopefully, we can use him on this next one.
Man, bro, man, I appreciate you jumping on this, bro. I truly do, man. I'm hoping, I mean, once the supernatural one starts building shape and taking shape, man, you'd be able to jump back on and keep chopping it up, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. I love talking to you, bro. And watching your stuff, man. That's awesome. You're a good dude, and you definitely just easy to talk to. And like I said, I mean, what you're doing is it's a great thing, man. I mean, I wish more people were doing it. I know there's a significant amount of people doing it, but how many people are doing it that are hardcore horror lovers? You got your own freaking library of horror films, bro.
Oh yeah, man. This is just my baby, man. I still got my wall. I got the side walls. It's like VHS and DVD, man.
You live it and breathe it, and that's what makes this even cooler, because we do too. So yeah, man, I'm a firm believer and supporter in the sPidA. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. I'm gonna wrap it up, man. But I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to bringing you back on. Thank you, my brother. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up, bro?
Just if you haven't got Mallet, man, give it a chance, check it out, and if you like or don't like Mallet 1, make sure you get Mallet 2 because it's gonna change your whole damn mind. And make sure you give this guy a bunch of love over here. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Not a problem, man. Don't hang up yet, brother. Everybody out there, of course, once again, Jody S. Dean, writer, director, Mallet 1 and 2, of course, 3 in the near future. This is sPidA once again, coming soon podcast. Till next time, follow up.